This is Jared from Shunome, and today we're going to continue our conversation about design options in Archicad 27. I guess it's a conversation in the hopes that you all will leave comments and questions, and we'll actually, talk more about it. But otherwise, it's just me talking, and that's, I guess, fine too. Okay, so in the first video, which there'll be links in the description, maybe on the screen if I can figure out how to do that, we talked about the basics of design options. So go back to watch that video if you want, the fundamentals. Today, we're going to look at a project where I've been using design options during schematic design and into design development, and then also talk about how I am using design options in my template out of the box, or how I'm using design options in my template is continuing to evolve. So even between the first video and this video, if you look at the left of my screen and look at template, what's listed as schemes within the template design option set, that's already changing because I'm learning and thinking about new ways to use design options. The first thing I want to talk about is what you have your views set to. So every view, if we just go to this main level plan over here and go to its settings, we've got the view settings, its ID, its name, all the general settings of like layer, scale. You can read all that on the screen. Well, in Archicad 27, we have a new one, which is design options. And so you get to pick the option combination that is the default or that is assigned to that view. So by default, it's main model only. And in my template, I've gone ahead and made one vertical line proposed scheme. So that one vertical line is just to make sure it shows up at the top of all your design option combinations. And I've then set all of my views by default to have that one proposed scheme. That is important because it's going to allow the file to evolve quickly and fluidly. So let's go look at a project and see an example of that. So here's a project I am working on design options with. We'll look at this in more detail, but I got option 1, option 2, option 3, etc. And then option X, which was the start of a version or start of an option, where I copied, I think, option 2 from, and it's gone nowhere, so I'm just leaving it there. As a quick aside, if I wanted to have, I could hit duplicate here and have option X2, and now I have option X2 here, and I can do whatever things I want to do, delete this stuff, right? And now if I go back to option X, so I've got those two. So it's one of the beautiful things of just, duplicate and you get another one. We can go ahead and delete that. We'll just delete all those elements because that's okay. Now we're back to just option X. Anyways, that was a tangent. So we've got all these options. And if we go to my just generic floor plan, let's go to the upper level. And we go to, let's say, if this were set to main model, why don't I do this? Let me go to settings. Right now it's at proposed scheme. Let's do main model only, which is what it is out of the box. So we get the first floor plan that looks good because that's set. Lower level plan, that's set. We go up to the upper floor and nothing is there. And I have to go, either pick which option to turn on, say it's option 2, and go here and say, okay, we're going to accept and merge this, and that's going to be part of the main model. But that's kind of a one-way trip. The other way to do it is to say, okay, we're going to have, instead of main model, we're going to go and say, let's do it this way. We're going to go to proposed scheme. Let's turn that off. A little foreshadowing there. Okay, so if I go back here to settings and say, okay, it's not main model, it's proposed scheme, and this is what I have out of the box in Archicad. So if we go to my template and we go to, elevations, so go to settings, proposed scheme. So back to this project. Now our floor plan is set to proposed scheme. So we can go into the design option manager and say, you know what? Proposed scheme is option 2, and it has louvers. We hit OK. And now, not only is our floor plan, our second floor plan set up right, we can go to the east elevation, and there's everything correct. We see that. But if we go, you know what? Actually, client changed their mind. The proposed scheme is not option 2, it's option 5. Let's do option X because that's ugly. Now, all our drawings are all updated again. So we can very quickly go and say, actually, proposed scheme, let's go back to option 2, because clearly that's my favorite for some reason. And so now every drawing in the set is updated without me having to go option 2, accept and merge, and move it into the main model. So setting up your template by default to have this proposed scheme as the thing that all of your views are set to just gives you a lot of flexibility. One of the things in this project, I meant to set this up in ahead of time, but the client has some paddle boards. So I'm going to do a design option that has the paddle boards. I'm going to put them here. And then I can go to my proposed scheme. I'll have a folder that's like paddle boards. And then I'll make this new option that is paddle boards. And then I can just turn that on in the proposed scheme so I can see it everywhere to show the client, here's where the paddle boards will be in storage. What do we think? That's good. Great. Then I can turn it off in the proposed scheme and then it disappears from the model. But when I turn it on here into the proposed scheme, then I can go to every view easily and see it. That's the idea behind the proposed scheme. This also comes into importance because not only do views have a design option, but so do schedules. So if I go here to the solid door schedule, let's actually go to interior door schedule, interior doors and windows. Here we are. Here is our interior doors. If I change this to option 1, I guess there's no different doors here. So option 4 has a different number of doors. If we go to option 5, you can see that doors are coming and going, and they're changing the size. Can't see me point to the screen, but you can see here, like all that's changing because this schedule is now filtering based on the design option. So again, by doing, see if I can find a schedule that has something. I haven't messed with schedules yet in this project. Because the schedule is filtering by design option, you can have one schedule save multiple views of that schedule with different design options saved. And so you can use one schedule to show, 4 or 5 different, or one schedule shows multiple sets of data based on the design option. And again, if you're doing proposed scheme as your default for all views, if late in the game you add something or want to test something or switch something, all you're doing is updating what this proposed scheme is, and it works great. So hopefully I've made the convincing argument for that. That is proposed schemes, why that's important. So now let's go look at this. These options, mostly about the second floor, you can see different floor plans. That's great. If we go to the model and we jump to 3D, we can then go ahead and all this is in 3D, right? So it's not just a floor plan that's a different option. It's, everything, right? And then we can go back here. So we're changing to this option. And we're looking back here. And one of the things I'm looking at for the client is how we do sun shading. This project, if this dimension right here is 2.5 feet, on the summer solstice, shadows are going to hit right here. This is something, right, we can do in Archicad because we can go to right-clicking, 3D projection settings, and I can set the date right in the time. So if it's 10 a.m., we can see that's the shadows there. We can go, this is the shadows on the winter solstice. And so anyway, so I know that depending on how big this is, the sun is going to hit different places in this project. And this house happens to sit in the same exact orientation as my house, just a couple blocks away. So I know if someone sits in bed right here reading a book on winter solstice, the whole room is flooded with light, but it misses your head. I actually took a photo of this and I posted it on Instagram. You can go see. So anyway, so I know that. And then I know on the summer solstice, the reverse happens, just adding daylight savings there, that with the right amount of overhang, you get no light in there. Or you get you direct sunlight. So it's bright, but you don't get, heat gain from that. So anyways, I want to talk with the clients about what it means to have louvers up here and down here, what it looks like to do a metal awning, just an awning at the bottom, louvers everywhere, or brackets that's in the front. But anyways, some of this stuff is roof form. You can see it here, right? We're changing the roof form a little bit to do something like that or something kind of crazy like that. So we can mess with this, and then we can also turn these things on because we could do lower with upper, the top and the bottom are changing, right? We want the louvers or not. So anyways, all that's coming together. You have the main big options, which are about the overall form and the floor plan, and then you have these secondary options, which are just exterior options for awnings and brackets. you can now extrapolate that out to, you could have a whole set of options for decks and color, any kind of crazy things you want. That's what's going on there. So I'm going to wrap up this video by talking about some other features here under template. One of the things as I'm designing, I want to be able to make notes for myself. So I have added a notes design option set. It's so hard to remember. So anyway, so these notes are just things I can turn on and off. So I can remind myself that there's a vault. I want it to be 7'6" ceiling and it, vaults up here. This is higher here, right? And then talk about mini splits, laundry. Like these are things I want to talk to with the client, but I don't want them on the drawings. So I can just turn them off. What's great about this notes is if we're here, let's make this the active. I can now go to this elevation and let's make this active and just type some notes here, right? So now on this elevation, I can also make the main model active. I can now turn this on and off. So you can see that you could start just filling your project with notes. You just go and turn them on and off so you remember they're there. I suppose you could set up a design option combination that has notes on. This is still a new thing I'm exploring, so I don't know if I need to have that set or if I'm just turning them on and off as I need to. So the next thing I have based out of the template is this object creation. Maybe I mentioned this in the previous video. I can't remember. So I apologize if that's not there. Oh, this might actually be missing from this project, but let me go back to my template. So if I go to the template, I have object creation primitives. And what that is this stuff here that was just fade environment. These are all the things I use to make garage doors and bookshelves and other custom door leaves, right? So in Archicad, there's just no simple door like that or a garage door with panels. These things are all in the embedded library of my template. So doors and windows. And so here's the bookcase door. To delete that because that doesn't belong there anymore. It's just left over from another project. And then here's the simple garage doors. And so they're there, but sometimes I need this to be, instead of an 8-foot door, I need to be 12-foot door. I need to be double panels. I need this to be 9 feet or 10 feet or 8 feet high or 7 feet high or whatever. So these live in the project, live in the template, but I can just turn them on and off now so they don't get cluttered. So that's the building creation primitives. Over time, I think I'll start adding more because why not? You could just put them all there. And as you need to make new custom leaves there or, whatever kind of custom objects, all the basics are there ready to go. I think of it as like a jig, right? Like it's ready. The other thing I've added to this project, in addition to notes, is as-built reference. So if you've watched my video on doing as-builts in Archicad, you know that I go to a client's house and I measure and I build my Archicad model at the same time so that when I'm done with the measure and I leave their house, it takes a day or two, I not only have the house measured, I have the model done, ready to start design. And so I build those models and there's a combination of 3D elements out the back and then out the gate, and then also a lot of line work. This is the line work here. So it's all my initial measurements. And I always save that off to the side. I never actually reference it, but I just want it there just in case, right? So it used to just sit off there, 50 feet, 100 feet. Now it's just as-built reference and I turn it off. And that's going to be really useful because, let's see if I can find an example. In the sections, I'll often have those same line work. I'm not gonna be able to find it here, but I'll have that stuff here. So like this is maybe something that was from the original measure. So I can take this and I can put that to, this is actually probably stuff that go in notes. This is my work for figuring out how that raised area goes. And so, here, like this is maybe from as-built. So I could take this and I can put that on as-built reference and turn it off. That's all I've got for this video. I think we've already gone pretty far. So again, we're talking about basic stuff that comes out of the template, these notes, as-built reference, object creation, looking at how options work overall in 3D, and then the importance of doing this proposed scheme that all your views link to by default so you can quickly update what's included in every drawing. And then it's also really important to remember that every view has a saved option combination with it, and particularly that those option combinations are what controls what shows up in the saved view of a schedule. So you can have one schedule and have it spit out information with different saved views of all your different combinations. So thinking ahead there, you can think about how you could have a set of plans, right, with a window schedule, a door schedule, a fixture schedule, one schedule, and then you just make a clone of that view, change it from option 1 to option 2, and not only can you show your clients a floor plan of the different options and maybe an elevation, you can also show them how it changes for the number of doors in a project, all these schedules. So I could see in the future setting up schedules that are really like schematic schedules that just show some fundamental differences between options. Maybe it's square footage or, like I said, number of windows, who knows? But that's where I'm seeing this could go, where suddenly schedules become part of your design process and part of your deliverable and explanation to your clients about why they should go with option one versus option two or option. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you very much. Remember, like and subscribe, download the Shunom Open template. It is free if you want it to be. Get the Shunom work environment, which is how everything here is set up. And we'll talk more soon. In the next video, I'm going to show another project with some creative uses of design options, and then maybe also talk about modules. That might be a fourth video. We'll see.